Hello, everybody. Hello from the Maricopa County Courthouse. Okay, it's working. So, jury selection continues today. I want to see all messages. Where's the chat? Jury selection continues today, and so with more questionnaires this morning. So at 10 a.m. everything started. Questionnaires continued. So just like yesterday, and we'll bring you all the latest later tonight on our full recap. I'll give you all the details, but just so you know, they went through 25 more jury questionnaires just now, and out of those 25, 23 were struck. So only 2 more went forward. So that's interesting. And then this afternoon is when actual voir dire and in-person jury questions will happen, and it's going to be a very, very full courtroom. So yesterday's courtroom was Judge Bresky's personal courtroom. Today it was a much larger courtroom where the actual trial is going to be across the hall from where Jodi Arias's trial was. So a much larger courtroom, but it was nice because this morning I was able to still sit in the front row with a good view of Lori. I know what seat I like these days, and I was able to see her, and she was in street clothes today, not her orange jumpsuit, because she's going to be meeting potential jurors in person. So she had on a nice purple button down and a nice little dress jacket. She seems to like this one particular dress jacket the most. Has a little flare at the end. Someone did a good job, I'll be honest, shopping for her. She looks nice. Her hair looks nice and curled, and so she is ready to meet these potential jurors. And so again, much bigger courtroom, but not too busy. And then I'll just come over here for a second. So I'm going to show you guys the courtroom too, the courthouse too. See, so here I am just out front. It's going to be a long. I just wanted to lean back on something. It's going to be a long little break here, and again, we'll bring you all the latest, but a lot's going to happen. We're going to be hanging out here all day. So then after so Lori walks in and Judge Bresky walks in. He asks her to lower her mic at one point, saying that he can hardly hear her. And then up on the screen, they have a big screen up at the top where all these people are virtually joining. And again, you could see Brandon Boudreaux's name. So again, the victim is technically not in the courtroom, but virtually in the courtroom. And so he is appearing for jury selection, which I think is really interesting. That's neat that he is, in my opinion, doing that and allowed to do that, right? Because even though they don't have, the public isn't allowed, and even though they're not recording it, and there's not a live stream and there's no camera, Brandon Boudreaux is able to watch the entire voir dire process, and that's neat. Oh, I see somebody is saying their first live. Welcome. So again, 23 of the 25 jurors struck this morning, just juror questionnaires, and I will give you the full details later tonight. But so here's what was interesting today. The best part was once the juror questionnaires were concluded, and the judge was pretty much saying, okay, we're going to clear out, and go to an early lunch, because the next step is in-person jurors, and they've got to fit everybody in the courtroom. And again, that's why they switched to the bigger courtroom, so that they could fit all the jurors in like the gallery, right? Like you need a much bigger courtroom to fit everyone. They're going to be all throughout the gallery and the jury seats. And they even came up to us and said, by the way, if you guys don't all fit, you're going to have to go to the media room. They have a media room that we can watch, but it's not in the gallery, because I think there are going to be like 14 seats total. I think we'll all fit, but like Grace and I might be split up, for example. One of us might have to be in the media room, which we can still see things, and one of us in the courtroom. So blah, blah, blah. You guys ready for this? So then Trina K asked, and I'm picking up my notes because I want to get it right. I have the exact quote here. So Trina K asks, that's the prosecutor, if they're going to like go over some rulings. because as you guys know and have been following along, there's like motion after motion after motion. The docket is just like, it's like just busy. Every moment of the day, we're always checking the docket here in Arizona. You never know what's going to come down. What are you going to get? What prize is going to be in the cereal box today? So Trina asks, hey, we're going to go over some of these rulings. As you guys know, it was super heated yesterday. Well, this is what Judge Bresky says, quote, given what happened yesterday, I think it would be safer to issue written rulings, and that would be my record. He then, end quote. He then explains that 2 of his rulings are completed, as in written rulings, and with a longer lunch break, he will do the rest during lunch today, which means we're going to get some written rulings coming down, and we're going to have them all for you. We are checking the docket and everything. So, I noted, let me read that one more time, because one thing I noted, like clearly he's talking about Lori's outburst. He doesn't have to say it. We all watched it last night. If you haven't, go watch last night's recap of jury selection day 1, because leave it to Lori to make jury selection chaotic. We saw the judge, be interrupted, and Lori just sort of going on and on in circles after being explained things over and over. So, quote from Judge Bresky, given what happened yesterday, I think it would be safer to issue written rulings, and that would be my record. Safer is, in my opinion, one of the most interesting words he used. He thinks it would be safer to issue written rulings. Safer for who? I don't know. Safer for Lori, safer for the judge, safer for the courtroom, safer for the public, safer for the judicial process. But safer is an interesting choice of words, in my opinion. So, yeah, she was aggravating. You could have been like, given the aggravating factors that we were faced with yesterday, sit down. I'm not dealing with you. And I'm going to protect myself by just putting things in writing, because I can't deal with you. That's what he could have said. I will say it's interesting sitting in a courtroom when Lori gets to discuss the rulings in person. Might not be as interesting after lunch, but we are going to have a particularly long lunch today for that reason. Judge Boresky will be working. He won't be dining the next couple of hours. He will be working on submitting his additional written rulings. And yeah, we'll see what happens in voir dire. And then we will be meeting all of the potential jurors, or seeing all the potential jurors. Lori will be meeting them. She'll be able to get up and question them. I mean, we're going to have a seated jury by the end of the day. Guys, like, think about it. So the trial for Brandon Boudreaux's, justice for Brandon Boudreaux starts Monday. We'll be live streaming it here on Hidden True Crime. But they will have a jury seated by the end of the day. So all of the people that had no issues yesterday, plus the 2 today, plus some newbies that are coming in that didn't fill out their questionnaire, but they're just here to answer questions in person. And then they'll all be in the courtroom. And like I said, it's a big courtroom. If you have like all of the jury seats and then all the gallery, they'll be able to seat them all, but they might have, like, again, 14 seats left. Lori then gets to get up and question them herself, and no cameras are in the courtroom at this moment. And it's interesting. Last time this happened, she said, just so you guys know, she pretty much was like, the state's the enemy and you guys have to protect me from the state. She did say that. She did say the word protect. Your job, jurors, is to protect me from the state. And then the judge was like, okay, that's not exactly accurate. And he was patient, and he explained to the potential jurors back then what she really meant. Well, you know, that their job isn't to protect her from the state, but the state has to prove their burden. So another big thing that she asked jurors last time was if they would be okay with her not putting on a defense. Like if she didn't put on a defense, would they be okay feeling like the state didn't prove their part, so she wouldn't have to put on a defense? It was some interesting questioning from her, and it showed her strategy. I wish you guys could have seen it. It really did show what her strategy was going to be, and I sort of knew then she's not going to testify. She's not going to put on defense. That's sort of her strategy. Well, her strategy backfired. We know that. She was found guilty, and she thought that she was going to be exonerated, and she's angry now, and her strategy didn't work. And I really wonder if she's going to ask the jurors the same questions today, or if she's going to maybe switch up her strategy. Okay, lover of puns, laughing at strategy. I know. Well, yeah, I know. Strategy in Lori's version of strategy, right? But she certainly thinks she has a strategy. Representing herself is also a strategy. Trying to get Judge Boreski kicked off before the next trial is also strategy. That didn't go well. Now she's got a judge that's just like, I'm done. He doesn't. She might not be done yet, but he is. He's like, I'm so done. I'm writing my rulings out. So my point being is I have a lot of curiosity going into the courtroom. And so lunch is ending at 1:15. And again, I'll either be in the courtroom or one of us will be in a media room or we'll still be watching. It'll just be, a view from the media room because all these jurors are going to take up the gallery. And I think this process is going to be really interesting. You know what else happened? I learned a lot from jury selection last time here in Arizona. And by last time, I mean, like, what was it, a couple months ago? I mean, everything's a blur. Was Judge Boreski put a bunch of the jurors in the jury box, and then the rest of them were like just sitting in the seats in the gallery, right? I noticed that the jurors in the end that were chosen, for the most part, they were seated in the jury box. So whatever jurors are seated in the jury box when we get back in there at 1:15, I'm going to definitely be noticing more than the others because it feels like they might be more likely to become jurors than those in the gallery. Because in the end, Judge Boreski pretty much just excused all of the potential jurors in the gallery and kept the ones in sort of the jury box that were seated. And they're like, and then he was like, hey, we have a jury. And I was like, wait, what? This is it? But again, Lori does a lot of the questioning of these potential jurors. And yeah, whatever you want to call it, strategy. Yeah, she's got strategy. Barry Cox also had strategy to not how to not pay his taxes. How did that work out for him? So, that's what they do. Like father, like daughter, they have strategy. And she's going to wear that strategy on her sleeve, and she questions these jurors. And I just wonder if she's going to switch up her questioning and what that's going to look like. It's going to be very, very telling. In the meantime, Judge Boreski is going to be working to keep himself safe by writing written rulings. And I also wonder what the prosecution is going to ask these potential jurors. So, Space Cat says, I hope that Brandon gets his justice. Lori is going to be a pain in the arse. I hope he does too. I believe that he will. Yeah, I mean, if they can prove that the Jeep was Alex's, well, I don't know. There's a lot to. This trial is going to be really interesting. It's going to be really different. Just to have Brandon on the stand is going to make things really interesting. Brandon's testified before, by the way, at both of Chad and Lori's Idaho trials. Brandon was a big part of testifying. He was a witness. So he's had practice testifying, just not for his own justice. But he helped to get justice for JJ, Tylee, and Tammy. And he showed up for Charles's trial to support Kay and Larry. Something else about Brandon I want to point out, Brandon identified JJ's remains so that Kay and Larry wouldn't have to. Brandon has been through a lot, and I do hope that he gets justice. He's not just this little random extra side piece. He has been a major player throughout this whole thing. He was helping Kay when the children were missing, try to find them. Kay tells a story of how Brandon called her to let her know that Tammy Daybell had died. They were shouting from the rooftops to get people to help them and talking about this cult before the media had even picked it up. The media didn't pick it up until December 2019. And the reason that the media picked it up actually was Rexburg police. They issued a press release nationwide. And it came out in a nationwide press release. The AP brought it down that they were missing 2 children and a couple that was on the run. That is how it came down. And then, but before that, so then as you looked into it, so I remember the day that press release came down and I read the AP. I was sitting on my couch going, what is going on? This seems suspicious. And the next thing I knew, I found myself on Kay Woodcock's Facebook page, and she had been writing posts for months saying, help, 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 there's a cult. And I found Brandon Boudreaux, and he was speaking out to Arizona news, saying, help us, this is bigger than you know. And he was right, and he's been there from the very beginning. You know who else I want to compliment? Justin Lum. Justin Lum is here in the courtroom this morning, Arizona reporter. He has been here from the very beginning as well. He was the local reporter that did not let Charles's death just be chalked up to a family dispute. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm going to point something out I think is really neat, is when Kay Woodcock and Jerry Vallow and Susan Vallow, they were all here. Larry was holding down the fort in Louisiana, and Kay came to support, to represent there for Charles Vallow's justice, her brother. So it was a couple months ago. Kay Woodcock continually gave exclusive interviews to Justin, and only Justin. She did not do an interview with Hidden True Crime or anyone else, only with Justin. And it was, I think, sort of to honor him and respect him, because here in Arizona, Justin Lum did not let Charles's story die. He was suspicious from the very beginning. And it's really neat. So anyway, after December 2019, months later, in Hawaii, Dateline and Nate Eaton were in Hawaii, tracking down Lori and asking her where her kids were. But before that, there was Justin Lum and a very frightening press release and Facebook posts from Kay and Brandon, who was in hiding because he was shot at in October of 2019 and had to take his kids into hiding. And it was scary. It was scary. And it's been 6 years. So I do hope that Justin gets it, or excuse me, I say Justin Lum. I do hope that Brandon gets his justice. He's not just an afterthought. We're here to make sure he gets his justice. And yeah, so he knows he's lucky to be alive, and has found love again with his wife, Jenny. So yeah, that's why this trial is so important. We might be done with Lori, but we're not done because of Brandon. So even though we're sick of her, thanks for sticking with us, because the story is not over yet, and we need to see justice for Brandon Boudreaux and for all the victims. Yeah. So there you go. It's going to be an interesting rest of the day. I want you guys to know too, a couple other things in Hidden True Crime's mind. We are really caring about a couple of other cases. We're here. We have a longer lunch break, a 2-hour lunch break, and we're working on some other cases. And during this trial, we might be bringing you guys some other really important stories that we care about, and I'll let you guys know. So thank you for subscribing and supporting us right now and supporting Brandon. Like I said, I know a lot of people are like, can we forget this already? No, Brandon needs justice. Yeah. All right. All right. Anything else? Um, that's it. All right, guys. I'll go take off. Like I said, I'm going to use this lunch break to prepare for our recap tonight and also to work on some other cases and stories we're working on. And I will be in the courtroom or the media room to bring you all the latest from jury selection, as well as Judge Bresky's rulings that he will be finishing um, during his lunch break and not in front of Lori or in person because he's going to keep things safer from now on. All right. Bama Green Eyes says, please remember Colby in your prayers. My heart hurts for him. Yes. Thank you for saying that. Colby is his, I'll never forget Colby's victim impact statement at the sentencing for Lori in Idaho. It hits it close to home. Let me remind you what he said. Because of you, I don't have because of you, I am brotherless, I am sisterless, I am fatherless, and I am motherless. I think that sums up how Colby's life has been completely ruined by this woman. And he has his own YouTube channel. Feel free to put it in the chat. I believed it was called Scar Wars, or maybe it's Colby Ryan now. I can't think the name off the top of my head, but he is certainly in all our thoughts and prayers. And I hope this can conclude for him too. I can't imagine how much this affects him and his family. So, yeah. Oh my gosh, Donna, I'll never forget that either. She said, I'll never forget when Colby first saw Chad in the courtroom, if looks could kill. That was in Rexburg, Idaho, after his mother was arrested in Hawaii and Chad was out and Chad walked in. I won't ever forget that either. Yeah. Can you believe it? It's been nearly 6 years since then. All right. All right. Yeah, and it does seem that Lori wants to avoid victim impact statements. You're right. That aggravating phase, that seems to be what she's avoiding. So, all right, guys. Okay, it's good to catch up. We'll see ya back in the courtroom, and then we'll see you tonight for our live. Hit notifications because we never know when that is going to be. If court goes late, it'll be late. If it ends early, maybe we can do it early. We'll see ya.